I just wanted to mention the training that we're offering. We've now added a streaming video course that builds upon the self-study course that has the 300+ page manual and real-world examples. We delve heavily into data access. Every which way you can slice and dice data for retrieving it. Stored procedures, queries, views, H-filters by programming. We also have examples that you can, in fact, all the examples you're free to use in your own applications, royalty free. But we have two that are of great note, I think, and believe and gotten good feedback on that, and that's the query by example, QBE, that you can just take the window and put into your application, pretty much just run it by setting 4 variables, I think. We also have a dynamic business rules where you can actually define a business rule in W language code. You save it in the database and when you link it to a table.field, so now any maintenance form that you would call one line of code will go and validate all the controls on that form. And we're not control by control basis as such, but what we're doing is any control that would be linked to that table.field name would be validated. For those who are interested in the class, you can go to www.sdcdev.net. We have some more information there, and you can go to the training page and see what all that we've got. You can also go to the testimonials page and see what other developers who have purchased the training materials think of that.
Okay.
Let's just want to do an introduction on the new class that we have, which is that stream video. So thanks for that time.
It's fantastic, I know. So quickly, last time I didn't talk about this, and Dave kind of reminded me by saying, you know, what's up with WX DevCon 2012? I'll just say a few words here. You guys, a lot of you guys will have gotten a survey. Please answer those. You can go back to that until next Wednesday and keep adjusting your answers if you want to. Your link that I sent out to you is tied to you, so let us know what you think, what subjects you're interested in, you know, rank them. And on Sunday, May 6th, we haven't set the time, but we'll announce it. We haven't set the time, but it would be Sunday afternoon where we actually go through the initial, and this is open to everybody. This is not just people that sign up, but on Sunday we'll go through a kickoff session where we're going to talk about what we were planning to cover and how we're going to approach it and answer any questions then. So maybe your reporter hat can come on Sunday, Dave. So with that, I got to give Bob his time. So let me open this up. Oh, I could have just had your screen. You were looking at all that. Okay, you want to minimize that and show us your screen? Just minimize all that stuff all the way to the top right. Top right. Oh, no mic. Get your mic on.
Wow. Okay. Minimize. All right. Oh, my screen. Like Bob's mic. Is Bob's mic working?
So what else do you want to say, Glenn?
Hello. Wait a minute. Where's Bob's mic? Bob. Where are you? Nope. Clarion Connect.
Okay, now we got your screen.
How come I'm...
Okay, just minimize.
You got my screen.
Yeah, minimize the top right. Yeah. Okay, now minimize the your mail. Yeah, you want to minimize everything except the screen you want to show. Okay, so now we can see that.
I think that's this one.
You're on it now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me now? Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to talk loud. You're good. You were good. Yeah.
I'm good. Okay. Well, welcome everybody to Going QQ.
Bob, you can take it down a little bit. Bob, you can take it down.
I can take it down a little bit. All right. Let's see if I can find where to do that.
No, not. Yeah, you can do adjust volume, and yeah, bring that down to like half. Yeah.
How's that now?
Oh,
is that okay? All right.
That's good to show
One of the
everybody
first
how
comments.
they can do it in the future. Okay, let me introduce Bob Roos. He's going to talk
All right.
about what? Arrays.
Yes, I've wanted a raise. My boss won't give me one, so I decided to take matters into my own hands. Or my own keyboard, I guess. Anyway, one of the first comments when I was introduced to WINDEV was they don't have queues like Clarion has. And I, in my QuickBooks application, use a lot of queues. So I was concerned and started exploring WINDEV and queues and what all. And they do have queues. They're just different from the way that we think of queues in Clarion. In fact, they have queues and stacks and lists and associative arrays and simple arrays and fixed arrays and dynamic arrays. So there's a lot of ways of lots of ways of doing better. Are we doing better on the voice? Is that okay?
Yeah, you're doing perfect. I'll be quiet now. Yeah, perfect.
Okay. But before we get too far into this discussion, I wanted to talk about a couple of things. There are so many different options and things on arrays that you got to use a lot of the help. And what I found, I got to run this. What I found is that in the WINDEV help structure, there are some very interesting things besides just searching for help. And this part of the screen is missing. Okay, here's the help and the browse, and this is the W language page. And then there's different things about the different sections of the language and things. And here's one on W language functions. Okay, clicking that, there are different kinds of functions for there, and then standard functions is where we want to look at. And now you begin to see what's going on here. But someplace, functions for managing queues, stacks, lists, and arrays. There are 39 different functions for handling and doing things in arrays, and 11 functions for managing queues, stacks, and lists. So this is going to be a key part of handling this stuff as you look at what are the different options and things, and then here's all the details on what you can do with queues, stacks, and lists. And then going back a level, we can see here what the different array functions are. So I thought it was pretty cool, and there's another path that'll take you to everything for strings and different areas where you can get an overall picture of what's happening for that particular area, like strings. What can I do with a string? Okay, and you can read through this summary and then pick out the particular function that looks like it might apply. So that was one thing that I wanted to be sure to point out. The other thing was sometimes Google does a better job of searching their help than they do. And you can restrict Google searches to the WINDEV site and English by using this site doc.windev.com/en-us in your searches. Opera very thoughtfully has a way of letting me actually put that. I can type an argument and then just click here on WINDEV docs and it'll search that. I think maybe Firefox and Chrome has something similar. I'm not sure because I'm an Opera user. But anyway, I just wanted to point that out about the help because I think that it's very, very useful and something that I discovered.
Bob, thank you for doing that. I was going to have a whole webinar on help just so everybody could do this, but this is a good lead. This is wonderful. Now I don't
Yeah.
have to.
Oh, the help is the help is fantastic, and I mean this whole system is so fantastic. I was typing comments, line after line of comments, and all of a sudden I noticed that every time I hit the enter key, WINDEV put in 2 slashes for me. It's like it noticed I was typing comments and thought, nah, I'll make it easier for him. So anyway, that covers that. Let's charge into what WINDEV calls a queue. Okay, and to do that, I have to. Unfortunately, I got so many blasted icons here. Let me close some of these things. Maybe I can get. There we go. Okay, now we're back to one thing. Okay, so let's look at queues, and let's look at the. Well, this is just an ordinary button. Okay. I am going to have a queue of strings. And a queue in WINDEV is like a queue in the bank. The first person in is the first person out. And it's just a lineup. Much like a regular Clarion queue, in that if you never do anything, you just keep adding, and then you keep deleting. That's it. Just first in, first out. Anyway, it's a queue. Okay. So what this button does is defines the queue. We have a work string. Enqueue is how you get something into the queue. Okay, first line, second line, third line, and then you can get the number of items in the queue using the occurrence property. Then I go through and I'm just going to display, and we'll see this when I click the button, but we'll display the items in the queue, and I put a carriage return after each item. Okay. I build the display, and then I actually display it. Then I'm going to take off the first entry in the queue and show that the size reduces, and then I'm going to show the change in that. Okay, so let's go to there, click queues. Okay, size of my queue is 3. The first string, second string, third string. Okay, now the size of the queue is 2 because we've done the dequeue here. And then you see the second string is now the first thing in the list because the dequeue always takes the first item off. Come on, mouse. Okay, and that is basically what happens when you use a WINDEV queue. Okay, now let's go back and look at stacks. Stack is like a queue, except it's a LIFO. Last in, first out. And you use push and pop to put things onto the stack, and pop to take things off of the stack. Again, a very handy thing. The Clarion has an equivalent sort of function if you always do an add and then a comma 1. So if you always add to the first, and then you always delete from the first, so you get this. And this is a similar sort of thing that I did for stacks. And the size of the stack is 3, push, push, push. Okay, and now you see the order is different. I pushed them onto the stack in the same order that I did with the queue. But this time, when I display them for each, it's in stack order. So the third one, the second one, because this one is going to be the first one out. Now I reduce it by 1. And you see the second string is now, but the first string is still in the stack. Again, very, very handy. You can have a stack of strings. You can have a stack of integers. You can have a stack of structures. It's a lot of power in WINDEV. It's incredible, really. Okay. Next up is lists. And I haven't really figured out too well what to do about lists. They're kind of a strange element. They're not a queue and they're not a stack, but they don't have the functionality of arrays. You can't put them on the screen directly or into any tables or anything like that. It's just kind of a collection. It may be more like a Clarion queue, actually. You can have a list of structures and are just simple strings. Anyway, so you use the insert and delete to add items, or you can use array add to get an item into a list. So first line, then a new first line, and so on here. And we'll just show the size of the list, then loop through the list, delete an item off of the beginning of the list, and show the size again, and let's see. Oh, we're inserting an item in the middle of the list if, just the item is counter is 2. I just picked that arbitrarily just to show that when you hit 2, it's going to insert before the current element. And then listing out the items of the list again. So let's look at lists. Size of the list is 4. Okay, this is the first line, and that was done with the add, array add, and then this was done with the insert. Okay, we drop the line out with the delete, and then that first line is gone, and there's the rest of the list. And this is the inserted line in the middle of the list. I guess I've not seen a great use for lists. Queues and stacks, definitely. I will be using them ferociously. So let's look at... yes?
Are lists sortable at all?
No. I don't believe they are. That's a good question, though. Array sort.
It uses array add, too.
Yes. You can use array. You may be able to sort them. I didn't. Yeah, I agree with you. Oh, I was going to change something else here that for people, and I forgot. My eyes are getting a little old, and I was wishing for a little bigger screen font. So, tools, options, code editor, coloring, font. Let's go to something we can all read.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I guess the other question is, with all of these, so far the structures that we're talking about, you can add a single, you can have a list or stack or queue of one thing. It could be a simple type. It could be what I guess it could also be an object. It could be what kinds of things can it be?
Structure.
Right, it could be a structure or a string or an integer. The structure being, of course, a more complex kind of a thing with a mixture of strings and that. So there's a lot of flexibility here.
Data types, yeah.
Okay. So what do we have in? Okay, let's go actually back and look at the code with this. What I did here, this is okay, structure, and I have a queue of structures, and so I fill in the structure. You have to have a type, and then you have to define your actual working structure of that type, and then you define the queue as a queue of whatever the type is. Then you assign the elements to your working structure and enqueue them, and so on for, in this case, the 3 things. And now it's the same sort of thing we did with the first, the size of the queue. And I only use, I took the work string and made it a concatenation of the 3 individual items. And then we took off the first item and showed that again. So if we go to this, and here we have the three structures, and there you see the three structures, 1, 2, 3. Then we take off the structure, and now we have two structures. Okay, and that is queues, stacks, and lists. The real power, the incredible power, and the other thing that everybody said is, what would you ever use an associative array for? It's a concept that does not directly exist in Clarion, but it is incredibly powerful. Let's go back to the window.
I'm listening.
Okay, associative arrays. Look at the code here. Okay, this is an array, except that the subscript is not a number, it's a character string. And what I've done here is to show you that you have the associative array, and we're just going to use a straight string. Okay, so this count code and the key or the subscript of this is 0-n, and I'm going to assign that a code of A. And I'll show you in a moment just how useful this can really be. This one statement is accomplished in Clarion by saying that you have a queue with a key field, and it has this value. You do a get by key. If it was not found, then you want to add it. So you assign your value and add it to the queue. If it was found, you assign your value and you update the queue. All of that Clarion code is replaced by that one line. Okay, and then I set to B and C and this. And let's go and execute this associative array. What is the incoming code? Well, let's just type 1 as one of the options, and we can see, well, we couldn't know, but anyway, 1. The code that corresponds to the incoming value of 1 is a C. And we could have gone here, not found. Okay, oh, because in defining the associative array, you can say what you want it to give you back if you don't get a match. This is, and I've said that I want to ignore all cases, and I want to ignore all spaces, leading spaces. So let's go back to here and say associative array, space, 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 1. Code is C. However, if you said 1 space space dash space n, it's not found. It does not ignore internal spaces, only leading spaces and trailing spaces. If I have 1 dash n, capital N, and I had coded a little n, code is B. So that's part of the power of an associative array. Now I want to show you how I used, one way that I used them. Where is it? Here. I have in my helper program, I have a whole bunch of different things that I want to have codes for. So different versions of QuickBooks, 1.1, 2.1. And I don't want to store all of these things. I want to just simply have a code. So I've decided to assign 1.1 to the single letter A, B, C, D, and so on. So I have an array called version. Where the devil? Oh, up here. Versions. It's an associative array. Okay, if there's no code found, no match, it's a Z. There's 15 of them. And maybe we'll show you how the wizard will actually let you create these parameters. But anyway, so I assign the values. Now, this table, so then anytime that I say AA version and then some input field, it will provide the value A. I've been able to also then turn this around, and what happens if I give it an A? I want to see on the screen, I want to see back 1.1. So I go for each, and this is the string that's in the array. This is the key of AA version. And now I just swap them around and add them back in. This is the add statement right here. So this will now take AA version A and say it's equal to 1.1. B is equal to 2.1, and so on. Anyway, so then I just assign more of these different values and codes. And then all I have to do in the actual program, there's this little devil, okay, is that's not it. It's here. Okay. If the type is XML type, then the type code, and this does it. This p-value is the incoming thing from actually it's an associative array that I'm processing, and it just assigns the code over. It does the complete lookup for me. I don't have to worry about it. Countries is an array of 5 different values, and I have the keyword, one of these things, actually looks up the subscript for the corresponding country and then assigns the true or false value to that. It's just really, really cool. Okay, enough of this application. Let's get back to arrays, associative array list codes. What? Oh, this just is a display of that. By the way, I have 3 version 16s open here so that I can more easily go between them. You can drag and drop text between this. I'm just absolutely in awe of what they have done with this system. Let's look at the code here. Okay. It actually just illustrates looping through and the display of using the trace facility of the individual items in the queue. That's not really that spectacular. Okay, an associative array of structures. Again, this is very similar to what we did with the queue. You assign the values, but instead of giving it a numerical subscript or a particular position in the queue, we give it a character string. And you can see that same thing. Oops, wrong one. Let's kill this. Okay, associative array of structures. So if I say 1, for instance, oh, guess what? Array seek. Oh, yes. Yes. I did. I put that in there deliberately because you can't use array seek on an associate, but you can. What did I do wrong? Linear search. Well, kill the test and run it again. Did I get it wrong? No, one's there. Function is not available for an element of, okay, you can't use associative array. So that was, I guess, why I put that in there, to show what happens. What is the incoming?
So besides help, Bob is showing us error messages that clearly tells us what we did wrong.
I guess at this point what I do is I put this at F1, go down here and look at this. And I use the local help more than the online help just because it's typically a little faster. So this is ArraySeek, and one-dimensional simple according to column, advanced types.
A lot of help, isn't there?
Oh,
man.
There's just a huge amount of help. I mean, you know, and I've read some of this stuff over and over again. Well, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. Let's go back here and not worry
But it
about
says array
that.
seek. It does say array seek there, so I was kind of surprised. Maybe something in
Yeah,
your
I
parameters.
don't. Maybe. I thought I had this working. There was another place, and I had a notation that this won't work, but oh well. Associative Array Seek. Is that where I was? Yeah. Yeah, okay. Well, we'll not do that. Array sort. Okay. Now here I wanted to assemble a random string of things. So I just built it up rather than typing it in. So just as a string, and I set a working array here, and then I just say string to array, so that it will take these things and parse them out into individual array elements. And then I'm going to just assign those to an associative array. And I'm sorry, those are the keys. And then I just assign a sequential number. Okay. Then we're going to clear out the work array and go through the associative array and display it. I'm sorry, build it. Oh, I remember. You can't sort associative arrays. That's why this is so cool. This is how you could sort an associative array, and maybe someday they'll actually allow this. So what I had to do was to build a simple array of the keys and go pluck them in, and then sort the simple array, and then display the associative array in sorted order. Okay, so let's take a look at that. Hello? Why am I not going anywhere? Am I in debug? Yes, I am. Let's get out of that, rerun it. God, isn't it so great not to have to do a compile and a save and then find out that you didn't set debug option and you have to go back and change it again. Okay. This is the
compile.
Yes. Okay. This is the original array, and you see here the keys, and they're not in any particular sequence. Okay. Now, you'll look at the keys again here, and they are, the blank key is number 60, was originally number 62, this 23D is number 30, and so on down the line. You can see that the keys are now displayed in sorted order. So it's a little extra work, and maybe someday they will actually let you do an array sort by key in an associative array. But it is
That's surprising, isn't it?
Incredibly powerful. Yeah, it was. It was surprising to me that that they didn't have it. But well, there's so much there and so much coming. Okay, a comment from Chris that says, isn't an associative array inherently using ArraySeek? Yeah. You know, it really is, because you're going to match up with the key. And this is, what is that structure that I'm filling? I don't know, it was just one I made up. Where am I? I've got the dual screen desktop and my laptop all hooked up through the same mouse, so sometimes the mouse wanders off onto the desktop. No, you cannot assign arrays. Chris, that was a question. Can't you just say my array equals my associative array? No, you can't do array assignments. That's one of the things you have to do it element by element.
So the two suggestions you're going
Okay.
to have to PC Soft would be to be able to sort and to do a deep assignment.
Yeah, there is some kind of deep assignment coming in 17. I
Well, maybe it's
don't
there
know.
already, huh?
Yeah. I don't know that arrays is there, but I think as structures you can do a deep assignment of element by element. That's pretty cool. Okay, going back to, no, that wasn't what I wanted. Hello. I lost my taskbar. It's gotten overwritten by something here. Oh, well, let's just get rid of that. Come back here. Nope, that's not the one. It's that one. The window. Simple arrays. Okay. A simple array is just what you normally think of as an array. You know, simple array is array 2 by 4 integers. Okay. And then I fill that and trace it. And what I wanted to illustrate here is, in order to pass a array to a procedure, you simply put the name of the array. You don't have to do anything else. Okay, and trace it is a very sophisticated procedure that simply goes a for each of whatever the array name was and spits out the element into the trace table. Control F2 to go back. Okay, so we will fill the array, we'll sort it, and display it again, and sort it. And I was trying here to sort the different columns. I was not able to get this to work very well. I don't understand why. I played with it, and I couldn't get things to come out the way I thought that they should have. The other thing that you can do with a simple array is you can change the dimensions, not the number of dimensions, but you can change the sizing of the dimensions, and I'll show you how that is affected here. Click Simple Array, and here is the first part. There are 2 by 4, 8 elements filled up, and then we did a sort, and we did a simple sort, so it was column 1 was the value 0 and the value 4, and we said it should be descending, so it did it 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 0, 1, 2, 3. And then this was my attempt here to sort by column, and I just couldn't get that to come out right. This last down here, though, is interesting. We changed the dimensions from 2 by 4 to 5 by 5. Okay, so the 4, 5, 6, 7 were the 4 elements that were in the first row, and we added a 5th element, and it stuck in a 0. And then 0, 1, 2, 3 was the second row, and it added a 0. And then it added rows 3, 4, and 5 in there. So just, again, tremendous power in terms of what you can do arrays. You can get yourself so tangled up royally. It's really really amazing. Okay, so let's go back now and look at fixed arrays. Okay, a fixed array is an array that at compile time you lock in the size. You may not change it. Why have those? Well, apparently one of the things is that it's compatible with Windows APIs. So if you have to have an array of integers or something to pass to a Windows API, you can use a fixed array and Windows will buy it. I'm assuming that since the size is locked in at compile time, it might actually run a little faster. I don't know. The button doesn't do anything. I just, because I had defined the fixed array here, I wanted to keep the warnings out, so I assigned a value. There's really nothing else to that. Dynamic arrays. You know, I struggled with this one. I have absolutely no idea. After looking at all of the other array types and everything else, I don't know what the advantage of dynamic arrays is. It says you can make new ones and everything. I really haven't figured it out. I don't know. You know, if somebody else wants to do a webinar on dynamic arrays, I've read the directions, the help files backwards and forwards, and I don't know. You know, just all the other types of arrays and everything else seem to pretty well answer all of my needs. I'm open to questions.
So can you go back? So can you go back?
Sure, I can go back.
Could you go back to your screen there? And can you just summarize with a quick synopsis of all of these? Now that I'm so like inundated with all these different things, I thought I was going to come here just for a cue. So can you just kind of like quickly go through these and then say why what you use?
Okay. A queue is like a queue in the bank, and it is first in, first out. Whatever you put, whenever you do an NQ, and then you know, NQ, 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 and then you do a DQ, the first item pops off the stack, the queue. Sorry. Stack is a LIFO, last in, first out, and you push and you pop. So if you push something onto the queue and then you push another thing on and then you pop it, the last thing that you pushed on is what comes off. Incredibly powerful for keeping track of things in a hierarchy. I will be using this a lot in my QuickBooks work because the XML that I build is very hierarchical, and I'll be able to have a whole structure of all the settings and everything for this level, and I'll push and pop that. Okay, lists, I don't know. I haven't figured anything out yet for what that is. It's yeah, you know, it's like a Clarion queue, really. Maybe in the future. And then that was Associative Array. This was probably the most powerful thing in terms of arrays, where you have a key associated with an array. Each array element has its own key that can be a string or it can be an integer. And so you can just do some really, really powerful things with that. And then the simple array is just an array like it's in Clarion. Actually, the fixed array is probably the closest to a Clarion-like array because there are no dynamic expansions of it. Simple array and then the dynamic array. Okay?
Perfect. Thank you for that summary.
All right.
Okay.
One of the things here, I can go.
Questions? Oh,
well,
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to show you what some of the power of this thing. There's something called JSON, JavaScript online notation or some such thing. And it's very
JSON.
hierarchical, and it's JSON, yes. And I was able to find in the sharing library, again, another really nifty power of WINDEV, a JSON processor. I wrote the author and said, you know, you didn't include any directions. What do I do with this thing? And he said, well, if you want, he said, I've got one that's read-only that's even faster. And so he sent me this code, and I had to debug it a little bit, but it uses a state machine to decode this thing and put out an associative array for every, let's see if I've got, well, here's some JSON. You can see the hierarchical structure of it, and, well, I don't know. That's XML. I guess I don't have the decoded, okay, not going to worry about it. But anyway, what this AA output, okay, this is the funny thing was I was trying to debug this. I was going through looking for where do they write the output. This is the output assignment here. And this puts a new entry, whatever the path is, for an empty entry. And there's several of these AA outputs throughout the whole procedure here. But this is only 276 lines long, and it can decode that whole thing, and it just made that so easy to then go through and process, let's see, load helper, decode code. I just looped through that output of that.
Did you get this information from the help, or was it an individual that did this that shared his code with you?
It was an individual who did this, but I just did a Google search for JSON and WINDEV just to see what would come up. And there were several WINDEV procedures, there were several WebDev procedures, and a couple of WINDEV ones that didn't apply. And also, though, what came up was in the shared code library, there was a JSON processor. And so I went and I got that, and I tried to use it. And like I said, there were no directions or anything, you know, as to what to expect or that. So I wrote the author and said, hey, can you help me out here with some directions? This is what I want to do. And he said, oh, if you're only, yes, it is. And so I was really grateful for that. And then what I do here is for each of the data that's returned, I then go through and just work on it, basically, is what it amounts to. But I can go through that line by line now. I've got the hierarchy straightened out, and I can apply those things to the fields. And then what this does is it builds a database, actually a whole series of, let's see. I've got, you know, these tables, and I fill in all of these different fields and things. And then that becomes the source for my helper program, and telling what fields there are in QuickBooks for this module, what the order is, what the attributes are, the length and size and type and everything. So any other questions?
Wolfgang, do you want to mention what you said about dynamic arrays?
Oh, he said they can be created at runtime and then freed when not needed. Yes, that is the one,
that's
I guess,
the only thing I can
advantage of
see.
it.
Yeah, That's the only thing I can see with the difference. Otherwise, it looks pretty much the same, isn't it?
Well, I think the difference, well, from the help there, it seems like the difference is you can change the number of dimensions. So you don't just expand or contract the array itself. You actually make it from
Dynamically
like a
size.
2x3 to a 2x3
That is-
by 8 or something like that.
That
Yeah,
is
as you go.
correct,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
It grows as
That
you
too.
need it to grow.
Yeah. But it grows in dimensions, not just in number of records.
Right.
Yeah. Or a number of elements.
Kind of cool, huh?
Yeah,
But I think this is
you know,
the best
the power of this thing is
explanation
just,
of the... Sorry, I just wanted to say this is the best explanation between the differences. I kind of went through all of them, but I think you just solidified it very nicely now, all the different types.
Yeah.
thank you.
Not only that, he listed them, which is nice.
Yes. That's what I should have
Love
done. I should have used the list to list the array types.
That's right. I knew there was a use for it. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So, go ahead.
I'm fine.
Do you have any more? Do you want to share on JSON or? Okay. Any
I
other
don't think
questions?
so.
Otherwise, okay. Well, you did a great job, and what a great morning. I mean, we had Wolfgang earlier, and then you, Bob, right now. God, I should have split it up into 2 weeks. Oh well. So
But,
again, thank you
okay.
to both of you. Okay. Have a great
You're very
weekend,
welcome.
guys. And
You too.
oh,
You
don't
too.
Yep, my pleasure.
Sunday after look for our thing, and we will explain about WX DevCon further. Thank you
Okay.
again.
Enjoy your weekend.
All righty.